Okay, I'm going to show you a few more things using the IDE and the language of Arduino. The first thing I'm going to do is reorganize my code a little bit into multiple tabs. So I can create other tabs. I'm going to create a new tab called Loop, and I'm going to create a new tab called Setup, and I'm going to create another tab called Other Functions. This is just an example of how you might organize your code. I can take and put the setup here. I can take and put the loop function here. And then I can create other functions here. So my other functions, my function. So this is just another way to organize your code. Now, if you notice what I did, I left the includes and any variable declarations in sort of the first tab or main tab. And that's what's necessary. Now, the order of the other tabs doesn't matter at all, but for those other tabs to have access to these variables, the variables have to be declared in the main tab. So I've got a loop function. I'm doing a digital write to set the LED to high. My setup sets up the pin mode of a couple of the LEDs. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. Now notice that this uploads, and I'm looking at the board, and I'm not seeing anything. Now, of course, in this case, you may notice that I don't have an LED plugged in to pin 11. But let's imagine that I did, and it's just not working. This is something that happens not often, but sometimes with Arduinos, you take and write some code, it compiles, it verifies, and you upload it, and nothing happens. Or what you expect to happen didn't happen exactly the way you expected it. So this is where the serial object is really helpful. If I say serial.begin, I can specify the baud, which is 9600. And then inside of the loop, I can say, let's do a delay of a second. And then I will say serial.print line, end of loop. And maybe I'll put in a beginning of loop. So now when I upload this sketch, again, I'm using the serial object. Again, nothing's really happening. But if I go and click on the serial monitor button, notice I'm getting this output. So beginning of loop, end of loop, beginning of loop, end of loop. So this allows me to do sort of console.writeLine, debug.write, standard out, response.write, depending on what environment you use to program in and debugging. It would be great if we could attach a debugger to the board and set breakpoints. That's not available. So for me, this is what I found to be the most useful in terms of getting information back. And you probably want to comment these things out before you, do anything more quote unquote real with the code. But for debugging purposes and testing purposes, this works pretty well. And obviously you can output variables as well. So for example, if I was confused about what LED, the value of LED was, I could type in serial.println value of LED is, and serial.println LED, or I could say serial.print and then do a print line. And so that way all this would come out on one line. When I go to upload, notice that the serial monitor goes away. So I need to start up the serial monitor every time I upload. And I can see what the value of that LED is and maybe figure out why something isn't working the way I want it to.